Welcome to Conversations with Des. I'm your host, Des Blanchfield, and today I have the pleasure of catching up with my dear friend Simon Sundberg, who's the head of demand generation for operational support systems and business support systems, or OSS, BSS, at Ericsson Digital. In other words, he runs OSS and BSS marketing at Ericsson Digital. Simon, great to see you. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you, Des, and it's great to be here with you. Although I would like to say I have a much nicer view than you do.
You do indeed. You're showing off. So for folk who tuned in, let's just quickly highlight. You are in France. You're in Nice. You're at the TM Forum Digital Transformation World 2019 event. Give us a quick summary of kind of what's happening at the event this year. What are the key things, and what's Ericsson got on show?
So the key thing, or the key theme, I should say, of the event this year is intelligent operations for a 5G world. And that's really what Ericsson is all about now. We're going all in on 5G, and here we're showcasing how we make it really easy for operators to move and accelerate their deployment of 5G. And then, of course, making money from it as well.
Yes, well, that's always the one of the most critical things, isn't it? Now, there's no secret, and I've certainly been talking about this for a number of years now as you've gone through the journey. I mean, Ericsson's gone through this entire digital transformation themselves, and it's been exceptionally successful. The world's been paying close attention. I've certainly made a lot of noise about it, and congratulations on that journey. Now you're in the process of helping your existing clients and partners who are telcos and carriers and operators, and new clients as well, because you're signing a number of them, go through the same journey. How is that working? How's the industry coping with this whole need to digitally transform their organizations, become cloud savvy, cloud ready, and then go through that process of cloudification, I guess, of their OSS and BSS offerings?
So I think we should start with where is this actually being used? And 5G and the opportunities that comes with IoT will give great opportunities for these different industry areas that we would refer to as verticals. Could say the utility industry or the transport industry or any travel industry. And suddenly these service providers, the telcos and ourselves as Ericsson have to help these industries to digitally mature and transform. And we wouldn't really have any credibility in that unless we transform ourselves. And that's really a key role for Ericsson in all of this. Make sure that we do our homework, transform, which we are doing, and then help our service provider customers to transform so that they with confidence can help other industries to do their transformation and help their customers.
In many ways, and I've said this before, both on interviews with your team and certainly podcasts, in many ways I see Ericsson have actually become custom number one for themselves. So you are your own first customer. You, as you just said, you've proven this is not only necessary and successful, but doable. And I think a lot of people have sat up and paid attention on the way you did this, the speed at which you did it, and I guess the cost effectiveness of your own transformation. So tell us what's happening in Nice this week. I mean, it's an exciting event. You've got a really exciting stand and booth set up, and I know a number of keynote speakers talking about some of the big topics. Give us a bit of insight on what you've got on offer this year, and what are some of the big themes of the event?
So at our booth, we're really showcasing the best of Ericsson in OSS and BSS naturally. And the way I see OSS and BSS today compared to what it was pre-digital is that now as we accelerate the digital maturity of the offerings of the solutions, it will really help service providers to test new things and test things with lower risk. So if I truly believe that some of the greatest user cases of 5G, we don't know what they are yet. And we can say that with some degree of humility. But if you have a system that allows you to try things, and if you fail, it doesn't mean that you have to roll back 8 weeks of coding and development. Then that's fantastic. You become very agile. You can try things. Our dynamic orchestration solution will help you to supply an end-to-end network slice and monitor and manage the service on it. And then if there are other needs, you can take the slice down and you can configure it to behave differently. All this flexibility creates great opportunity.
Now, I know you've got some exciting demos on the floor, and I've heard some great feedback from folk that are there and seen some of the great videos. Are there any of the demos you can sort of tell us about that people who are at the event can come and enjoy? What can they participate in? For folk who are in Nice with you this week and are at the event at TM Forum's Digital Transformation World 2019. What's on offer and what can they come and experience?
So from us, I would like to highlight on the OSS side, for sure, dynamic orchestration, which we evolved with some new capability earlier this year. So that really brings closed loop automation at the center, and it gives an operator the opportunity to handle this massive complexity without having to manage things manually, which will save up a lot of time and resources. Then on the BSS side, we're showcasing some in our catalog manager, which will help you to take end user offerings faster to the market. We're showcasing some of our digital engagement capability and the importance of having a front end that really resonates with your customers and helps you as an operator to deploy changes effectively. So that's a couple of the key points. And one final point as well, we have CNEX and their service assurance capability. CNEX we acquired about just over half a year ago. So they are here as well.
One of my favorites, actually, because the legendary Fernando Mendes not only heads up an existing role inside Ericsson, but also, I understand, heads up the CNEX business and acquisition. So I imagine her frequent flyers are gone through the roof. And I guess this also is part of your whole end-to-end story and the closed loop component of the automation that comes now with transforming your own platforms through this digital transformation, and also, I guess, refactoring all of your own systems, particularly the operational support systems and the business support systems where they interconnect. Because obviously operational support systems is sort of more infrastructure, business support systems is fairly obviously in the business end of things. New offerings, new services, self-service and so forth. But the CNEX component of it, I guess, brings in, and you've been doing this for about a decade from what I understand now anyway, with the acquisition, you've basically built that network automation and self-healing intelligence into your existing infrastructure as a cloud-native app. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. And the great thing with the CNEX capabilities that you get the end-to-end visibility of a service. It's not only parts of the infrastructure, and then you can start working with the KPIs on that particular service, which of course for an operator would be interesting to look then into how do you best monetize your solution when you're not going to sell only megabytes or minutes anymore.
Well, that's the big challenge, isn't it? Because when we look at the likes of the whole telco space, voice has been the killer app for some time, and some of the sunk costs have been very long-running ROI, sort of 10, 15 plus years. I remember talking to Mats Carlson from the R&D space as many as I think 2 or 3 years ago, and he said that there's this whole challenge now of transforming, from an 8-year-old ROI on investment on hardware and infrastructure that had to just keep making you money to then 8 months to now 8 minutes, with this whole challenge of fail fast in the agile sort of development and design space, all the way through to the continuous improvement and continuous development and operation space. So for folk who are not at the event, I mean, it's exciting to be there, but I guess there's also a larger audience of people around the world who will be tuning into this live stream and getting the great insights you're offering. But people who maybe even get the replay, if I'm not at Nice with you, and I'm sure people are envious that they're not, for the rest of the world, what can you tell us about where we can go and find more information about what's happening currently, I guess with Ericsson Digital in general, but specifically your area of focus, which is the operational support systems, OSS, and business support systems for the BSS world. Where can we get more information? Where can we do a bit of homework on your web portals and so forth?
This week, I think our Twitter page or Twitter handle, Ericsson Digital, that is the place to go for good OSS and BSS news from Ericsson.
Okay.
Then we have our homepage as well on ericsson.com. You can click your way through to digital services, and there you will find the specific areas for OSS and BSS as well, where we tell the story of network automation and service monetization as well in more depth, I would say, than if you just look at the leaflet. Then I also want to do a pitch for our report together with the MIT Tech Review that we just launched. So that's something to check out and download and read a bit.
Tell us a little bit more about that, because I mean, there's been, as you said, people should be following you on the @Ericsson Digital handle on Twitter, and certainly follow the Ericsson Digital business page on LinkedIn and so forth, and some great pictures on Instagram as well, by the way, and some live streams on Facebook. But obviously, there's a live conversation happening on social media in general, particularly Twitter. But tell us more about this report, because I remember seeing this come out, and I haven't had a chance to read it in detail. I only had a glancing look at it. I've been in an airplane for a few days back to back. What can you share about the report?
So the report is a report that we did in collaboration with the MIT Tech Review Insights team, and they've interviewed service providers across the world on their view on network automation, and then of course orchestration that plays into that, and giving a bit about where they stand and where they see this is going. And I think it's it's good food for thought for us as Ericsson to consume this report, because it's our customers or potential customers that are talking about what they experience on a daily basis and what they see as challenge. But I think also for anyone in the industry who wants to get a good introduction to what's orchestration all about, this is really a good piece of research to dig into.
Indeed. Well, I think one of the things I commented on recently, I did a boardroom briefing in Singapore and to a range of C-suite. Interestingly, very similar to your OSS BSS user forum, but in banking. And so a number of competitors per se who are looking to co-opt. And one of the things I recommended them was that they do read this material, whether it's bedside reading or in-flight reading or whatever the case may be, get across it, because it's all topical. It's like one of these things where you can't have a conversation about 5G or the infrastructural systems or the operational component of the business part unless you actually have a language and a vocab that is consistent across the business. So I recommended to them that at board level, they start reading this material, get up to speed with it, so they can actually discuss it, because otherwise it's one of those things where it's the blind leading the blind in my mind. Now, one thing I'd like to leave listeners with before we tune out is where is this whole space heading? So what should we pitch people talk about at the board level? So when people get together for their monthlies and then their weekly management teams and their monthly board meetings, what should be on their agenda? What topics would you recommend they start thinking about? We still need to be thinking about the 30,000-foot view of the world, looking down on how we strategically look at this. Should we be thinking more operationally at the moment? Is it a hybrid of both? What are the conversations you're having with clients and customers currently like that you could perhaps share with people to help them avoid some of those pitfalls and short circuit the process of getting to the front of the line?
I think this will move, and with this I mean 5G. It will move exceptionally fast. We are already deploying it in some parts of Europe and in North America from Ericsson. So it's already happening. And in the places that have countries that have spectrum auctions soon, I think it's really, really important to get your IT systems in place. Do your network planning now, so that when you get the frequencies, when you get the spectrum, that you're not going to be left behind, because then it's going to move very, very fast. And I'm not only saying that as a representative for a company that sells all these things, but just look at 3G, look at 4G.
Yeah, that's the big challenge, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people misunderstood that when 5G came along, and I think we're up to release 17 from memory now from 3GPP, that there was a perception that it was just another G. But I keep telling people, and as have the SMEs from your team across Ericsson generally, particularly Ericsson Digital, on the podcast with me and certainly interviews we've had, one of the key things that comes out of this, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this as a closing point maybe, is that this is not just another G. It isn't kind of going from better quality voice to digital, from digital to streaming the occasional song or music. I mean, this is a transformative new generation of network across wide area and radio area network, campus-wide, in-building, big shift towards autonomous things that can drive themselves, Internet of Everything. So this is not just another G, is it really? This is a complete game changer across all industries and markets from what I can see.
Absolutely. And I think if you look back to when 3G came around, no one really knew how to best use it until we got the mobile broadband dongles, and then the smartphones came around, and 4G then really accelerated that, and primarily in the consumer space. I think with 5G, there's going to be huge IoT opportunities for industries, for businesses, and then the business models will get really, really complex as well, potentially, because you may have one business model on the wholesaler side, and then there will be one business model towards the end consumer that an end business is deploying and tailoring for their needs, and then it's the middleman in between. So I think that complexity requires business understanding and agility with your systems, and that are some of the key things that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I guess with all of these big transformations, I guess a cultural behavioral shift on how you approach these big changes, because they are, the digital transformation challenge itself is big enough. When you add 5G to that, it becomes even broader. You think about all of the shift to becoming a cloud-capable company and cloud native transformation of cloudification of all your different pieces of business logic. This is very much a boardroom agenda item that should always be there in my view, and I'm sure you agree. But it also should be a conversation something across the organization as to not if, but when and how. And I guess, as you alluded to, getting ahead of this thing, because one of the things that I share with people regularly is this is one of those big shifts generationally in my mind in business and technology, where those early leaders who get across this technology and leverage it early may in fact get such a competitive advantage on the rest of the market that the market in some cases may not actually catch them up. So it's not a time to sit on your laurels and just wait for it. So Simon, look, it's been fantastic to catch up with you. Now I hear there's another competition which I'm going to put it out there that I'm an Excel. I understand you're giving away some competitive tops of some form. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I don't think there's like take a selfie and complete a competition line, is there?
Yeah, so there's more instructions on our Twitter page for sure. But Excellent. This is a competition where you can win a Paris Saint-Germain jersey, a football shirt basically. And you need to then take a picture with yourself and maybe with something Ericsson related in the background here, Nice. And then write a few lines what teamwork means to you.
I love it. Well, I'm an Excel, by the way. Hint, hint. Folks, you've had some amazing insights there from my dear friend Simon Sundberg. He is, as I said, the head of demand generation for Ericsson Digital's operational support systems, OSS, and business support systems, BSS. As I said, he effectively runs OSS and BSS marketing at Ericsson Digital. Simon, it's been great to see you. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I think you've definitely got the winner of the day background view there, and look forward to catching you soon. And hopefully I'll have you on my podcast soon.
I'd love to. Looking forward to it, Les.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for making time to catch up with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and look forward to having you on the podcast soon and seeing you in person. And with that, folks, we'll wrap up. Thanks again, Simon. It's been great to talk to you.
Thank you.